The word is out. Ripple is going to turn into a bank. A tweet from Brad Garlinghouse just talked about how long we've been following the rules. Ripple wants to grow into a big bank. How does Ripple become a bank? I need nothing else but this video. I'll also show you how becoming a Ripple bank will benefit XRP, LUSD, and Ripple. So let's first try to understand what Brad Garlinghouse means. I'll tell you everything you need to know after that. Ripple wants the OC to set it up as a national bank because it has always followed the rules. If it passes, it will be supervised by both the state through the NYDFS and the federal government. This would change how much people trust the stablecoin market. This week, we also used normal custody to apply for a Fed master account. Now is the time for this to happen as Congress works to make rules and laws clear and banks step up with this. We could keep the RLUSD and funds at the Fed immediately. This would be another layer of safety to make sure that we can always trust RLUSD. In a market worth more than $250 billion, 0 cents, Ripple's goal has always been to build safe, trustworthy infrastructure that has been tested in war. We will always have this goal. Other organizations expect RLUSD to put rules first, which makes it stand out. For the past year, you've been hearing this exact thing on this station. How many videos do I have where I say Ripple is going to turn into a bank? It's here now. We're right all the time. Let's talk about what Ripple should do to become a bank. When does Ripple start doing business? Ripple wants to be the last provider people choose. This has been said many times. These people are likely banks or other types of financial institutions that can give money or help other financial institutions. If you need to, you can ask states or banks for help. The fact that Ripple needs to do a few things to become a bank today caught my eye. Some of Circle's competitors have already done that. Plus, we'll talk about the pros and why becoming a bank would be good for Twirl. My name is Crypto Sensei. Thanks for being here. Let's find out more about this and see what's going on. It's very hard to become a bank in the US right now, Ripple. You have to follow a strict process that is governed by Federal Reserve rules and state laws. As of right now, there is no public proof that Ripple is actively looking for a banking license. There has been a lot of talk about how things are controlled, though, because of recent events and comments from people in the scene. Allow me to show you what Ripple and what you need to know. You need to first choose what kind of bank you want to be. The OCC might have to tell Ripple what kind of bank charter it needs if it wants to be a government national bank that can do everything. This year, we saw that the OC did say it was okay for banks to use Bitcoin. A state charter or even a digital first charter could be one of them if the chance comes up. Because of the big push going on in the US right now, infrastructure companies might be able to ask for a new license. Always stay in. Keep in mind that Ripple has rights everywhere. They already cover a lot of the US and they're always looking for more rights. A digital-only charter, like the one being talked about by Greg Kidd, early investors in Ripple, could let companies like Ripple act like banks, focused on deposits and payments instead of having to have real branches or offer loans. The public can't see this document yet, though, because it's still being worked on. For the bank, that person would need to make a thorough business plan. What are you going to do? How are you going to help people? Ripple would have to make a detailed business plan that lists its purpose, goals, goods, services, target market, and how much money it thinks the bank will make. The plan needs to show a real way to make money and follow the rules set by the government. Remember that everything Ripple does starts with following the rules, not just AML and KYC, but everything else as well. This is because Ripple doesn't work with regular people like me and you. There are banks, credit unions, payment systems for the financial market, and there are also state banks among them. All of the ones I just named need the tightest rules and regulations, which Ripple successfully meets. You should put together a good management team. There isn't anyone at Ripple just waiting for someone to tell them to go. So I think they already have a business plan. I think this is being worked on behind the scenes. Ripple will always have a plan even if the market changes. Their team is almost always ready to go, and it's really cool that so many smart people work together to make this system that most people won't even know they own. But we know that XRP and RLUSD will be used to quickly send money all over the world in the end. The people in charge of overseeing banks want to see compliance officers and risk management experts at the top of the company. This is something Ripple would have to either hire someone who knows or show that it already has someone who knows. We've already looked at the Ripple team and how smart its members are. This is already done in-house for the board of directors, and for people on that board in RLUSD, they could call people and ask them to join this bank if they needed to. As it grows, I think Ripple will become one of the biggest blockchain tech companies in the world. Get the money you need. Switch would need Ripple to have a certain amount of cash. A U.S. national bank needs to have a tier capital ratio of 4.5%, a tier 1 capital ratio of 6%, a total capital ratio of 8%, and a debt ratio of 4%. There may be other numbers that need to be used. Remember that Ripple has a lot more money than Circle did. We looked at Circle's numbers before it went public. Now that their shares is worth a lot more, that might be a little different, but Ripple has the money to do all of this if they wanted to. Sign up and ask for a license. They also know people in the business who can help make this happen. Ripple would need to open a bank account and send a detailed application to the right regulatory body. For a federal charter, this would be the OC, and for a state charter, it would be the state banking officials. Lots of things need to be in this application, such as a company plan, a governance structure, risk management policies, anti-money laundering processes, and a lot more. They also need to make sure the deposit is safe. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FIX, it tells banks they can cover customer accounts up to a certain amount. It's about $250,000 this time. There is a long process that regulators go through to look over an application and decide whether to accept it. This includes checking the backgrounds of key workers and making sure the company is financially stable, taking care of risks and making sure the processes and infrastructure are ready. This could take a year or more to finish. It's likely that Ripple is already working on it. If this is the direction they're going, the government might want to look at more legal steps before the business starts, before giving the final go-ahead. After that, you kept following the rules. Once Ripple had a license, government officials would keep an eye on it all the time. Well, that already happens with RLUSD. Do you remember the first time Ripple put out RLUSD? They had to wait for the Bank Department of New York. Who checks their work twice at the end of the month to make sure their fixed coin has the one-to-one backing? That's who. It's possible that Ripple is already doing this. Don't worry about this. That doesn't bother me. Ripple needs extra care. Keep an eye on compliance and build ties with big banks. This could help with the application process. Ripple is still in court with the SEC, which is a bad thing. We understand that this is taking longer than planned, but that will be fixed soon. If a new digital first charter is in place, Ripple may be able to use it to become a bank that focuses on digital deposits and payments, skipping steps like opening real stores. Button.